Okay, welcome everybody to the Conservation Commission's meeting for Wednesday, January 21st, 2026. We're going to call this meeting to order at 7:04. And we have Laura Rodriguez, Nora Jones, Tessa Gutowski, Ali LeMay, and Jackie Kulig, as well as guest Paul Pribula. So, because let's see, right now we don't have any regular seats that are open, so we don't need to seat Ali. I'm just checking this. So, oh, actually, yes, we can seat Ali because Bob's not here. So if somebody wants to make a motion to seat Ali for Bob,
I'll make a motion to seat Ally for Bob.
do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Okay, thanks, Laura. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Okay, so moved. Okay, so Ali was seated for Bob with Tessa and Laura on the motion. Okay, approval of minutes from December 17th, 2025. Does anybody have any comments, any suggested changes?
Kathy, I had some changes that I'd like to enter.
Okay,
I think, Laura, I sent you some changes.
Yeah, everything kind of crossed in the email, I think is what
Yes,
happened.
that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but we can change it now.
Yeah. And so you have the track changes version I gave you, right?
Oh, somewhere.
Yeah. So anyway, basically what I did was I just cleaned up the section for me. I was a little confusing on finance reporting out. So I had some change of language and the new language under the 25-26 budget balance as encumbered was $1,000.51, $1,000.51.46. And I inserted the language, this balance reflects the 4 outstanding invoices submitted to the town finance office for processing. And as of 12/7, the commission is still awaiting an invoice in the amount of $50 from Creative Engraving for the daily award plaque. So that was one edit I'd like to see. And then I had under V, 5B, I had some additional language I wanted to put for the 3rd anniversary. And the change of language said that so that's to do the a trail challenge. And I said possibilities of trail challenge that could be modeled after the Connecticut Deep Sky's the Limit hiking challenge. The state lists selected parks and trails to hike, documents with specific specified photos, and submit the documentation. And the participants completing the challenge receive a certificate that can be entered to win a hiking stick. So I just described the program a little bit. And then under F, under old business, VF, under Wellington Wire, I just had the last sentence for Earth Day write-up saying, for example, recycling rates and waste tonnage and cost at the transfer station. So those are just minor edits that I gave to Laura. So, and if you don't have them, Laura, I could resend it to you.
I'll take a look at it. If not, I'll let you know.
Yep.
Sure, I'm sure I can find it.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I think I've got the places to check for the track changes.
Okay, great. Any other comments on the minutes? So can I hear a motion to approve the minutes with the suggested changes by Tessa Gutowski? Hear a motion? I guess Tessa, you would be the first to move it because you brought the changes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes with the suggested changes I just made.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Thanks, Nora. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, any abstentions on that? Anybody?
I'll abstain. I wasn't here last meeting. Sorry.
It's okay. No, that's good. Okay, so Ali abstains. Okay, thank you. All right, moving on. Present to speak. Paul's with us tonight. He had come to our last meeting and we had talked a little bit about what the Conservation Commission does, and Paul introduced himself and some of his background and interest. And I think we had said basically give it some consideration. We would love to have you on the commission. And maybe you could just let us know if you would like us to move forward to ask the Board of Selectmen to appoint you.
Sure thing. I'd be happy to join if you'll have me. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. Hey. Anybody have any questions for Paul? Okay, all right. So we can either, at this point, I think we'll wait until we get down to membership to make a motion to send it on to the Board of Selectmen, if that's okay.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Under finance, Tess, you want to give us a report on our
Yep.
ballots?
I'll keep it very simple. So for the ARPA, Kathy purchased two in December, purchased the lumber for the bridges. And so based on that expenditures, we have a balance in ARPA in the amount of $130.81.
$130.81.
Correct. And we have to, as we said before, the money has to be expended by March 31st, is it, Kathy?
Right. It has to, and it has to be
31st.
used at Willards because there was a purchase order basically that was put in when we kind of codified that to say, we're going to encumber this money. And we're going to use it up by March 31st with purchasing building materials at Willards. So as you mentioned, what we did is we purchased lumber to fix the Talmadge Spur Trail. That was one purchase of $121. You don't have to write all this down, Laura.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't have to, but I just wanted to let people know. So $121 to purchase enough materials to do the Talmadge Spur. I don't know if you remember that Bill Bland and his wife, who are the trail stewards, had mentioned the boards that are on the Talmadge Spur needed to be replaced. So we bought the boards. Chris was able, we tried to set up a work day with the Blands and the weather didn't cooperate. So Chris went down on another day and he just replaced 2 of the 11 boards that were the worst. They had cracks in them and we just didn't want that to go through the winter that way. So that's been done and the rest can probably wait till the spring. So we have materials set aside for that. And then $1,100 basically was spent to pre-purchase 26 2x8s and 26 2x10s. And we had them all delivered to Public Works and they're going to store them for us until we need them for trail work and boardwalk repair over at Fenton Ruby. So we can use them. They're pressure treated, they're undercover. Again, it was just a way to spend down that money so we didn't lose it at the end of March. So those are over there.
I think though too, we just to reinforce that you guys have done an inventory of all the bridges. So you've
Yes.
identified the need. So that's what was the purchase was based on.
Correct. Yes. Yep, we did. And we have like a spreadsheet of all the different boardwalks and all the trails and the materials that would be needed. So yes. So the $130 that's left there, we can buy more boards if needed. We are also going to need screws, for putting the boards in. So we can pre-purchase those and assume we're going to be using a lot of that material this coming year when we start to do the work as the weather gets better. So. All right. Any other questions on that or comments? So that's the ARPA fund. Go ahead, Tess.
Okay, so now for the town budget, the balance is still $1,051.46. The town did process those 4 invoices for us in December, so that's what we have. But we know of 2 things. We did submit an invoice for $31 for the books, and that was not processed yet. And we're still awaiting a bill, unless you got it, Kathy, for the $50 for the plaque.
No, we saw Mark last night at Carol's party, but I've asked him several times. He said he'll send it to me.
Yeah.
He's not worried, I guess, about getting
Yeah.
paid.
So for our purposes, Laura, it's the balance is $1,051.46 from the town.
Okay.
And, you know,
That's the same.
we can, if, just so you know, moving forward with treasurer's report, sometimes what Carol would do too, is she would just say the balance included the encumbrances. So that's money, basically the $31 plus the $50 for the daily award. Those numbers are encumbered. We anticipate getting, you know, paying those. So
Yeah.
you can report it as that too, if it's easy.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Any other comments, questions on that? Okay. All right. Thanks on that, Tess. Budget requests for funding year 26-27. At our last meeting, we did decide on a budget request of $1,500. Tessa and I were working together to, we finally got the materials from the finance department to the form to put the budget request in. And when I was looking at it, I was wondering if we could consider just rearranging some of where we were going to put that money, the 1,500, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Can everybody see this
Yes.
Yeah.
on your screen? Okay, so this was the budget that was from last year. And when we last talked in December, we agreed that we would request the same amount of $1,500, and we thought we would just kind of leave the categories the same. Can you see my cursor moving?
Yes.
Okay, so when I was looking at this again, our CACI WIC and CLCC membership dues are almost $100 a piece. And if a couple of us end up going to conferences this year, this number might not be enough. And again, it's not hard and fast that we can only use $250 in this category. In previous years, you know, we've shifted this money around. As long as we stay within $1,500, that's not a problem.
Device.
So,
Right.
but what I'd like to suggest, because we've already pre-bought, you know, some building materials, is just to shift $100 out of park and trail maintenance and put $100 more into membership, so that it would be $350 for membership and $500 for park and trail maintenance. So that that's a motion I'd like to make and see if people would consider that.
I will second the motion and we can discuss.
Thank you, Laura. Okay, any discussion?
I think it's a good idea. I mean, that's where the money was being used, you know, for past year. So, and we do have a lot of lumber, so I think we're pretty good there.
Any other comments?
I agree. That sounds fine to me.
Okay. Okay, anybody else? All right, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, so moved. Thank you. So in the minutes, I guess we can just say that we shifted the categories. So now we're going to put 350 in membership and conferences and 500 in park and trail maintenance before we submit the budget. And then, of course, these names down here, this is from last year. These will all be changed to our current members. And Tess and I will take care of getting that to the finance office. We have to get it in by February 2nd, and then we have to defend the budget on February 12th. It's not a big defense because our budget's been the same for years. So
Is that before the finance committee, Kathy?
yes, it is. Yeah. And usually what happens is they, you know, they might ask a couple questions, but they rarely do with our budget because it's so minimal.
Yep.
So we just keep reminding them of how much we're doing with so little. Oh. All right. Okay. Okay, we'll stop sharing this. Let's see here. Okay, great. All right. Old business, Fenton Ruby Park and Preserve. I just wanted to mention, I forgot at our last meeting to thank Jackie for updating the map, the Fenton Ruby Park map. She added the sanctuary onto it, and Heather had been able to put that onto the website. So that's been updated. We may want to think about having some new maps made to put in the kiosk, because there's an old map there that does not include the Pedex property. So we might want to, consider doing that, getting some bids to put a new sign in there, a larger sign that would be weather resistant. It's behind the plexiglass, but still over time, the hot and the cold and everything, we need more than just paper in there. The other thing that we'll need to do is to update the website information about the park to include the Pedex Sanctuary, as well as we have a park management plan. And what I thought I would do, because we had talked about getting together in person, and I'd like to see if we can do that March and April. I did book some rooms at the town office building, so if we wanted to move forward with that. And I can make copies because we have quite a few new members, and I'll bring the park management plan in so that everybody can have a copy in their hand to literally, take home and read rather than having to read it online. So,
Kathy, do you have a copy of the Pedex documentation that you submitted to whoever to purchase the property? Because that gives a little bit of history in that, doesn't it?
not a lot, to be honest with you. I mean, there's not a lot of history with that property. The woman who sold it to the town, she lost her husband, and we worked with her for a year. First of all, we had to kind of figure out if it was a property the town wanted to acquire, because there was an old camp on it. It had a dam. So we went through the process of being sure that the dam was okay. We had an engineer go out there, and Carl Asimovic looked it over and gave us recommendations to cut all of the trees off of it. So, and then we had to come up with a remediation plan to get rid of the old camp and fill in that hole. So it took us a while. Then also the access road from Lustig, from Ashford, Lustig Road that came down, there was a lot of questions about how that had been discontinued by the town of Ashford and basically who had a right to use that road. So that took time to kind of do title searches and work on that. So long story short, it took us maybe a year and a half, 2 years to negotiate with Mrs. Pedex. And she was kind enough we had a market appraisal done too, as well, of that property. And it came out, the appraisal was $35,000. And we negotiated with her to pay $27,500 for it.
Was that
She-
state money, Kathy?
No, there was no grant involved. This was
No grant involved.
no. The reason that we didn't go for a grant, it was not going to be worth our time and money.
Yeah,
The deep grants require 2 appraisals, and they have to be at a certain kind of federal level. They call them a yellow book level. I'm not
Uh-huh.
sure if people are familiar with that, which are very expensive. They require an A2 survey with GIS points, which is expensive. We paid $12,000 to have a survey done of the Talmadge property on Mason Road in 2021. So we did have an A2 survey that had been done in the 90s when Mrs. Pedex acquired the property. So we didn't need to do any a survey, but we would have had to update all of that
Okay.
information with deep. So
Yeah.
we would probably have spent a lot more than the property even cost us.
yeah,
Yeah. So
okay. Yep,
Yeah.
thanks.
yeah, you're welcome. But there isn't, I mean, historically, I looked back. I mean, I did a lot of the title search. The attorney did it from a legal standpoint, I look back at a lot of deeds just to see, and there wasn't anything special about the property. It had been used in the past by many people from New York City as camps, and they just kept selling it to friends over time. Um, we kind of established when the pond was put in there. We can write something about that on the website. So, great. Any other questions on that, on the Fenton Ruby? I haven't heard anything from stewards to say we have any concerns or issues on the trails. So, Ally, have you been out on the trails lately in Fenton Ruby?
Not at Fenton Ruby. I've spent more time along Mason Road and those trails.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Great. Do you have any updates on those? Any concerns? Anything you saw?
No, what I saw looked good. I moved a couple sticks when I was out there, but
Oh, okay,
Mm.
thanks. Okay, and Tom Smith, who does the Knowlton Trail, he texted me. He usually does like a week before our meetings, and he said he'd been out there and everything was clear on the Knowlton Trail. That was good. And as I mentioned on the Talmadge track, Chris did replace two of the boards on the Spur Trail in December, and we'll plan to replace the rest of the boards in the spring. Collaborative organizational news and communication. Last time we met, I mentioned that the summer reading program theme is going to be plant a seed read, with kind of a farm to table and agriculture type theme. And we had talked about if anybody had some thoughts or ideas about a speaker or some kind of program we could do. I've since been in touch with Deb Lennar, who is their program director, and we've been batting around some ideas about working with them to get a speaker either from New England Organic Farmers Association or somebody from the Tolland Master Gardeners program, because they represent Tolland County, which we're in. So we have some leads on that. Does anybody have any other thoughts or ideas for ways to collaborate with the library? Okay. If you think of anything, let us know. I mean, they're always looking to partner with us.
And I know Hockenham would gladly donate plants if we knew we had a count, if we did something at the park or at the library. Hockenham, which is Tri-County now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, they are really good about getting plants to us or for us. We usually do pay something for them. In the past, they've been very generous in terms of how many plants they give us for a very little amount, like $50 we give them and we get quite a lot. So I guess in terms of, I guess they are donating in a sense. I think the Girl Scouts probably will continue to take care of the pollinator garden at Fenton Ruby. They've been doing it, and usually Connie Bedard or Bedan gets in touch with me in the spring and tells me, how many plants they want. And what we've typically done is Connie goes to Tri-County. She works with Chris, who's there, and he sets aside a bunch of plants for her, and then they send an invoice to the town, based on, we vote on, how much money we want to appropriate for that. So that's typical of what we do. Park and Rec. We don't have anything planned with them at the moment. Anybody have some thoughts or ideas? Some things you want to do this year? Okay. Natchog Healthy Watershed Advisory Board. I've continued to chair that advisory board, and we just had a recent meeting. We're going to be doing a tour of Wyndham Waterworks, because that's where the water is treated from the watershed. So the Fenton River, the Mount Hope, and the Natchog River all come together in Mansfield Reservoir. And then the water goes into the Willimantic Reservoir that's right by Wyndham Waterworks. They pump water into their treatment plant, and then they pump the water to 22,000 people in Mansfield and Willimantic. So we're going to have a celebration there. We're calling it Naturally Natchog Clean Water Festival. And that's going to be on May 2nd. It's a Saturday and it'll be from 9:30 until 3. And people can take tours of the water treatment plant. We're going to have speakers there talking about the watershed. And we've invited a lot of environmental organizations, including like Deep Forestry, Deep Wildlife. We're going to have people there from both the Land Trust, Joshua's Trust, Wolf Den Land Trust, which is also the Eastern Connecticut Forest Landowners Association. We'll have people from Trout Unlimited. So a lot of environmental organizations will be there and some others I didn't mention. So it sounds to me like a great day. I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
So if a couple things, if anybody would like to volunteer some time that day to come, we might need some help with helping the organizations get their tents up early in the morning, or directing people a little bit, or just hanging out. We'll have a booth for the Natchog Advisory Board. That'll be because we're affiliated with the Eastern Connecticut Conservation District, so we'll be sharing a booth space, but there'll be some fun things to do there.
That sounds good.
Oh.
I don't know what I'm doing in May.
I know. We're trying to get the word out because there's 8 towns involved in the watershed.
Yeah.
It's a lot of towns, and we really want to get a lot of people out. And so we're trying to get some advertising out there early and get the information into the hands of the municipal officials so that they can let their residents know. We just really want a lot of people to come, especially because we've invited so many organizations.
Are you putting stuff on Facebook, Kathy, for each of the towns? Facebook?
Well, yeah, we're planning to, put something on Facebook. What I'm going to put in the Wellington Wire might also, include some information on it, because Wellington is a partner in the Natchog Watershed Protection Plan. So we're going to ask all the towns to do that in any way that they communicate with their residents.
Yeah.
Okay, town's 300th anniversary. Yes, I don't know if there's anything else that you wanted to add about the hiking challenge.
No, we're it's a little early still.
Yep,
Well,
definitely.
I think one of the things that going for that hiking challenge is going back to the our trails. They have to be all on the web, because I
Oh,
don't think all of them are right now, are there? I looked like last month, I didn't see them all
yeah. When you say on the web, do you mean
on
on
our
the Connecticut?
on our website.
Oh,
Right?
the map should be pretty up to date. Yeah,
Oh,
because
okay, I'll have to take a look
yeah.
at it again, because I was
Yeah.
looking at all the properties.
Yeah, it should be. But if you find that you're not finding it, let me know. So
Okay.
if you go on the commission's webpage on the left-hand menu, there should be an item on Fenton Ruby Park. And when you click on that, then you can read through it, and then there'll be a section in there that says trail map.
Yeah.
So that's for Fenton Ruby. And then for the Mason Road ones, there should be on the left-hand menu something for Knowlton/Talmadge. Yeah. And it's funny, some of the other online trail apps that people have, like All Trails and some of the others. I mean, they do have some of our trails, but not all of them on the public sites, what I'm or the
Mhm. Commercial.
commercial. Yeah, thank you. Yep. But DEEP actually has, I think it's called Connecticut Trails. They were trying to get a lot of organizations to upload their trails on there as well. Maybe Paul can speak to that, because I think you were on Joshua's Trust when JT put their trails on.
Yes, I was. And we put all of them, and there were a lot of them to go on the Connecticut Trail Mapper, as it's called.
Yeah.
I believe you still have a couple of trails that they don't have, and I can do the trail marking for that whenever you like. I just need to get specifications from the woman who's in charge of that.
Great. Great. That would be wonderful, Paul. You know, that could be, you know, an activity that we plan on maybe later this year. That'd be great.
Sure, be happy to.
Thank you. Okay. Let's see. Going down to support for farmland preservation, proposed farm ordinances. Jackie and I presented our recommendations to the Board of Selectmen on January 5th. They were very open to the concept of the ordinances and supporting farming. But what they suggested is that we bring forward our recommendations to the Planning and Zoning Commission as well as the Economic Development Commission. So Jackie and I went to PZC last night, and we were asking them to submit their comments about the recommendations back to the Board of Selectmen. So we'll see what they do. They didn't say a lot, huh, Jack? You want to comment on that?
Yeah, they didn't say a lot. They were concerned about the tax implications primarily. Seems like their main focus.
Yeah. So we're going to go to the EDC meeting on Monday at 6:30. We asked to be put on their agenda, and hopefully that meeting will go forward. There's going to be a prediction of a storm on Sunday through Monday. I don't know if things will be cleaned up by Monday evening, or, you know, if they'll cancel just in anticipation, but we'll see how that goes. But Jackie and I have been talking to some farmers and encouraging them to come to the EDC meeting because there's more opportunity for them to talk. There's 2 presents to speak during those meetings. So we're also inviting them to come at 5:30. I set aside a room at the town office building at 5:30 to invite them to come in and kind of socialize a little bit with each other. We can tell them a little bit more about what we're doing with the recommendations of the ordinances. And we thought to try to get them there, we might entice them with some pizza. So 2 things I wanted to ask. One is, I'm going to notice this 5:30 meeting, as I originally thought we should do it as a special meeting. But if we do a special meeting, I was just talking to one of the selectmen, and he said if we do that, then when you do either a regular meeting or a special meeting, technically people can speak at a present to speak, but there isn't back and forth dialogue that's really allowed. But if you hold it as a public workshop, then you can have back and forth dialogue. So I like to notice it as a public workshop. I'll send that to the town clerk and she can post it as such. And it'd basically be inviting people who are farmers or interested in agriculture in town to come and just talk a little bit about, you know, where they're at in their farming journey and, you know, where they'd like to see things going. So if that's okay with everyone, I'll post that as a public workshop.
When would you do that, Kathy?
That I'd have to send the posting in tomorrow.
And when's the
and
meeting you're thinking?
The meeting would be on Monday.
Monday evening, yeah.
Yeah.
Monday.
The 26th. Yeah. At 5:30 for our meeting, our workshop meeting. And then at 6:30, there's going to be the EDC meeting that we have to present at. And we thought it'd be a nice way to get the farmers, you know, together in a room beforehand, share some thoughts and ideas. And then if they wanted to go to the EDC meeting, there would be an opportunity for them to comment to EDC too about what we're proposing. So, and the second thing is, Jackie and I, you know, thought if we had some food there, like some pizza, some soda, that might be a way to kind of encourage people to come as well. And that way, you know, they're not skipping their supper to do this long 5:30 to whatever with EDC. So I wanted to ask the commission if we could spend some funds. I'll I would order and pick up the pizza and soda and then ask for reimbursement at our next meeting. So, or if the commission wants to just make a motion that we would spend a certain amount of funds for the workshop, and then I'll get reimbursed later. So that's up to you how you want to do it, if you want to do it.
Yeah, why don't we just go ahead and do that? Make a motion.
Okay.
How much money do you think that would be?
I don't know. It depends on how many people are going to come. I mean, pizzas at Wellington Pizza are probably $25 for a large. So if we got 2 pizzas and then some soda, I'm thinking $75. Does that seem enough or?
To spend up to, I want to say up to 75 or up to 100?
We could just say 100 and spend less. I won't overspend, but yeah. Okay, so you're making a motion,
So I'll
Laura?
make a motion, right? I'll make a motion that the commission will spend up to $100 for pizza and soda for the workshop. Their name of the workshop, or just the public workshop on January 26th.
Yeah, that would probably be enough. Yeah.
Do you want to do that? Do you want to do a date because we may want to check with the town. They may be closing if they're talking about more than a foot of snow.
Yeah.
Sunday into Monday.
Yeah.
So do you want to say
Or
26 or when it takes place?
Or when it takes place, yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. I hear a second.
I'll second it.
Okay, thanks, Tess. Any further discussion on that? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Abstained? Okay, so moved. Thank you. Okay, town development. I don't have any updates on any of the other commissions right now. Nothing that I know of that's a hot item. And Bob's not here from planning and zoning right now, so probably nothing to report. Open space opportunities. Is anybody aware of anything that's come up or?
No.
Okay. All right. Wellington Wire, last time we met, I mentioned that I was gonna also do the next issue, April, May, and June. And Tess, you said you would do something on
I would
Earth.
do on Earth Day. Yep.
Yeah.
When is it due, Kathy?
It's due March 31st.
Okay. I'll pass whatever I do to you, Kathy.
Okay, very good. And I'll just send it on with
Yeah.
me. Awesome. Does anybody want to think about doing something for the Wellington Wire for the summer issue?
I could do that.
Oh, who's that?
That was Laura.
Oh, hi, Laura. Okay. All right, that's lovely. Thank you. Yeah. Does anybody want to think about doing it in the fall? Again, I'll just throw these out now and then we can maybe have a list of people who would take this on. It's not hard. It's maybe a page of information. It can be on something of your choosing that's regarding, either something that's happening, something we're doing as a commission, or something about an environmental topic that might relate to that season. So.
Kathy, did you say that UConn's doing a study at the park?
Mm-hmm.
When are they gonna start with that study?
They started it already, the beaver study.
Yeah.
Yeah, they started already, and it's going to be, I think that they started it in the spring last year, if I remember correctly, and it was going to be 1 to 2 years before they finished the study. They're measuring the water in the ponds. So in the beaver ponds, and they're looking at nutrient levels and other, I think, temperature. So, yeah. So when we get a report back on that, we certainly could write something up on that. That would be interesting. And then for our web page, I'm going on to G. For our commission's webpage, there's opportunities there if somebody wanted to write something up or submit some pictures. Patty has done a lot of submission of pictures of Fenton Ruby Park in the past, which is really nice on the website. But anybody who goes out there with a regular camera on your cell phone, and if you take something you think is interesting, you can send it to me and I'll send it on to Heather. She's doing the posting for our webpage.
Can we, when we meet in person as a group, can we talk about the web page?
Yeah, sure.
Maybe we can just look at it together and
Yeah.
toss some ideas around and.
Yeah, it might be a little more challenging to actually look at it while we're there, the web page, because we'd have to have a laptop that has internet connection to open it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think the land agent office would have that for us?
Well, I don't know. They're not going to be there when we're there. They won't be there on a Wednesday night at 7. There'll be nobody but us in the building.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we would be able to get access to a computer at that point.
I can bring my laptop and they have guest access. I've always been able to access
Okay.
internet at the town office.
Oh, okay, great. I didn't know that they had guest access. That's great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you project it on that big screen that they have the meetings at, Laura?
If we're able to use that room and they're okay with that, yeah.
That'd be great.
We'll have to see. I don't know how to connect. I mean, I'm not trying to be a barrier.
No,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
I'm
But
just.
I mean,
There's
if
a
it's
pro-
just if it's an HDMI, I've got the adapter. I would just have to take a look at it.
Okay, yeah, because I don't know if there's some security to it because it's
Oh,
in a
sure, yeah.
townhouse
Yeah,
building.
that's what I don't know.
Yeah. So, but I can try to ask about it. The best person to ask is Mike D'Amato, and because he's very familiar with it. So I'll see if I can talk to him. But in the meantime, people certainly can go on to the commission's webpage when you have time and look through it and, write down some of your thoughts and ideas and comments, things that probably need updating, change. We can certainly do that, and hopefully we can get Heather to be at the meeting when we're talking about it so she can take notes. Open space and natural resource mapping. That was the other thing I'd like to see if we can focus on in March and April. We had put together a natural resource inventory quite a few years ago, and I can have copies made of that, and we can have them at the meeting so we can start to look at them. That really probably should be updated. And I think for some folks, it might be easier just to have a paper copy to start reading through it and making notes and comments as we're working on it. How does that sound?
It sounds good.
Okay. All right.
And would you have are you talking about UConn students helping out with that update too, Kathy?
I had been contacted by Bob Fahey, who lives in town, but he's the director, the Natural Resources Department at UConn. And he said that he had a student that was interested in doing an internship with mapping, GIS mapping, and that he would do it in the spring semester. So I've sent a couple emails to Bob and said, hey, where are we at? We're in this spring semester kind of, or basically not quite spring, but we're in the second semester here. What's going on with that? And he hasn't gotten back to me. So I don't know if the student is still interested or got something else. So, but we'll see. We also have, with Paul, his willingness to come on to the commission. That may be something Paul would want to take on, is helping us to update the natural resources map.
I can try. Sorry, ArcGIS is a challenge for me, and I think most people, but I'll give it a shot.
Okay, and then Jackie's got background in it too. Maybe we can all put our heads together. So, is there something that would help facilitate that? I don't know, do we need to think about buying some software for somebody's laptop, or you guys know this better than I would, so.
Actually,
For-
maybe I should talk to Jackie at some point. And we can talk about what the best thing to do would be. You know, getting the software isn't a big deal. You can, if you're not doing anything for pay, you can get the software for $100 a year, which isn't a huge deal.
Mhm.
It's the amount of, for me, it was a challenge, and I don't know how it was for Jackie. Uh, the problem with ArcGIS is it wants to do everything for everyone, not just, you know, like land trust, conservation commissions, but also municipalities who are trying to figure out where to put light poles and stuff. It does a lot of things that you have to like weed around to find exactly what you need. So I don't know. Hopefully Jackie's better at it than I am.
Hmm.
Well, with me, I was mostly using QGIS, which is an open source version. So I haven't done ArcGIS since college. You know, it worked fine for me, but my computer's outdated and doesn't work very well anymore. Plus, I don't know that I could commit the time to doing that.
Okay.
You know, next winter I could chip away at some stuff, but I don't know that I could commit to doing all of it.
Oh, sure. Right. You know, in the past, we had, I'm trying to think of his first name, Rob Daniels, who worked for the trustees of reservation. He was the GIS coordinator for that. So he was able to do a lot of this for us in the past when we put our inventory together. But you know, we'll put our heads together. We'll see if UConn can provide someone who's an intern who has some training in this as well, and then you know whatever resources we can bring to the table. Okay. All right, we're down to membership vacancy. One regular seat. This was the seat that Marilyn, when she resigned, it has a term that was set to expire on December of this year, 12/1/2026. So that would be the vacancy we would be asking the Board of Selectmen to fill by having Paul come on to the commission. So I'd like to make a motion that the Conservation Commission recommends that the Board of Selectmen appoint Paul Pribula to fill a regular seat vacancy with a term that ends 12/1/2026.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstained? Okay, so moved. Thank you. All right, Paul, as far as we're concerned, you're part of our organization here. We'll get it to be official once the Board of Selectmen appoint you. I'll send a letter to them by Monday. What I'll probably do is I'll CC you on I'll send a draft to you to be sure that any information I put in there is accurate before I move it on to them. But what would happen is once they receive it, they will decide when they're going to put it on their agenda. They usually meet on the first and third Mondays of the month. So I anticipate they would probably put it on their agenda. If I got it to them by Monday, they would probably put it on their agenda for the first Monday. And you don't have to go, but many people, you know, just zoom into the Board of Selectmen meeting in case they have any questions, which they normally don't. They usually go by the recommendations of the commission or board that's asking them to seat somebody. So that's where that's at. And then once they appoint you, within 10 days, you need to go over to the town clerk's office and get sworn in. So does that sound agreeable?
Yes, sounds fairly simple.
Okay.
If you, for any reason you think I should get on the selectmen meeting, just let me know. I can
Okay.
probably make it.
Yeah, I can definitely, when I see it go on their agenda, I'll send the agenda to you and you can decide if you want to, you know, zoom into their meeting or not. So
Okay,
I
thank
think,
you.
you know, what I think it is, I think it's good for the Board of Selectmen to at least meet the people that are members of our boards and commission. And, it puts a name to a face or a face to a name. And I think that's important. I think it gives us a little bit more credibility when we come before them and we ask them for things that they know that they have residents that are willing to serve. So. All right, communications. The only thing I have for communications was a thank you card from the Friends of the Library for our donation of the raffle basket with the educational materials for their Christmas craft fair. That was the only information in our mailbox. Anybody have anything else that we haven't covered under old business? Okay, new business. So Cadle Rock property. I'm sure some of you remember the old Christmas tree or Christmas barn that was on Route 44, right on the Ashford-Willington border years ago. That was identified as a brownfield after the barn burned down, and I'm not sure who identified it as a brownfield, but in early 90s, it was designated a brownfield because they found that during the 60s and 70s, the person had owned the property at the time had been taking out plastic wire and burning off the plastic to get the copper inside the wire. So there was a contamination on the properties actually partly in Willington. There's like 50 acres and 300 acres in Ashford. And most of that contamination was on the Willington side. And DEEP got involved and the EPA, and they removed the contamination that was in that site because of the wire burning, and as well as the remains of the old barn that had been deposited on the Willington side. Allie, you have a lot background in this stuff, so you probably would understand it better than I would.
I did come across that they got awarded a grant for this property.
Yeah. Is that your company, BL?
No, it's not. I don't work for BL, but I am aware of some of the comings and goings that happens with brownfields in the state.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you get involved in that at any level? I'm just curious. With your work.
Yeah, so we're working on a site. We're working on some brownfield inventory work for Wyndham. I think it's Wyndham. So we do various things related to brownfields for the work I do, ma'am.
Yeah. Paul isn't aware of your background. I mean, the other members met you when we tested him. I'm not sure. Did you meet? Yeah, you met Allie when she first came on and we had talked about her background. But do you have a minute, Allie, just to tell Paul a little bit about your background so he knows?
Yeah. So I grew up in Wellington and I went to UConn. I have a degree in environmental science with a concentration in marine science, actually. Not that we live all that close to the water. But I work as in environmental consulting for a company called Stantec. So we do a lot of dirty dirt work, so remediation, brownfields work, hazardous waste, that kind of thing.
Thanks, Allie.
You're welcome.
So the reason I'm bringing this up is the towns had gotten together, and because the person that owned the property at the time back in the 90s had not been paying their taxes, eventually the town of Willington and Ashford got together and they were able to have a tax sale, and they basically acquired the property. They had looked into what would be involved to remediate the site. They did get a grant at the time back in, I think it was 2015. They got a grant from the Department of Economic and Community Development, and it was for $200,000. And basically, they hired a company called BL to do an assessment to see were there other areas on the site that were contaminated, because they would need to put forward like a remediation plan and so on. So that was all done, and they did find some small contamination in other parts of the site. It wasn't anything that required the EPA or DEEP to really get involved in. There was no groundwater issues. Nobody's well had gotten contaminated because of it. But then they applied to actually have a remediation of those areas. And DECD basically said, well, until you can tell us what you're going to use the property for, we're not going to give you any more money to remediate it until we know what you're going to, what can it be used for and what's your plan for it. So the two towns recently got together and they applied for another grant, which is called a BAR grant, BAR, and it's a Brownfield Area Revitalization Grant. So they're rehiring BNL to go in and to do another assessment and basically tell the towns, you know, what are potential reuses of this property, you know? And what really needs to be remediated and what can just stay on site, but you can still use the site for other uses and so on. So they put together a steering committee that involves 4 people from Ashford, and they asked to have 1 representative from Wellington. And before Peter Tanaka left office, he had asked me if I would serve on that commission, which I agreed to do. And so I just wanted to tell you that that's going to start to ramp back up. You might be reading some information about it in the papers. So they're going to be hiring the consultants again to start this whole assessment and then come back to the steering committee to talk about what they found and what are the potential uses. And then the 2 towns will be holding public meetings to ask the town, you know, how would you like to see this property used in the future? So 50 acres is in Wellington. 300 is in Ashford. In the past, it was basically used as agricultural areas, farming. I believe the town of Wellington still is leasing their 50 acres. There's part of it that was always like a hayfield, and they're leasing that. Somebody's cutting it anyway. I'm not quite sure of the background on that one. But, you know, the thing is, as a conservation commission, what kind of recommendation moving forward, once we know more about how the property can be reused, what would we want to recommend? You know, would we want it to be something the town should keep as open space? The part of the Blue Blaze Nipmuc Trail goes through there now. So I don't know if any of you, if you walked from Wellington toward Ashford and Union, but you know, the trail goes through that part of the property. So that's just a background.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a question from way back when.
Yeah.
When you said that the property was acquired, who acquired the property? Is that Ashford and Wellington?
Yes, they partnered together
Okay.
because
Okay.
when they did the remediation, which was mostly on the Wellington part, because there were concerns about contamination on the Ashford side as well, the EPA basically lumped it all together. So they had to kind of work together on this to apply for grants and so on.
All right, thanks.
Yeah. Any other questions or comments? Okay.
Right.
All right. Any other new business anybody wants to bring up, talk about? Okay. All right. Our next meeting will be February 18th. And if somebody wants to motion to adjourn, I'll entertain it.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay. And have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Ally, thank you. All right. Any other business before we say goodnight? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
All right. And thank you, everyone. And thank you, Laura, for coming all the way from Costa Rica.
It's really not that far a trip when it's on a computer.
Well, I hope you continue to enjoy your time there.
Thanks. All right. Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.